Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Makos. A survey by Employment Express found that half of companies plan to increase the size of their workforce in 2025. This is a number that's been gradually going up year over year since 2021. The same survey also found that just 8% of companies plan on downsizing their workforce. So what can we take away from some of this data? Brent Pollington is a franchise owner in Vancouver of Employment Express, and he joins us now. Hi, Brent. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Now, it's one thing for people to tell you that they plan to increase their workforce, but are we actually seeing businesses do this when they say it every year?
I don't know if we would see it every year, but I can say for my business in Vancouver in Q4, we saw a significant increase in job orders with our clients, a number of really strong conversations about plans to hire. I think there's a feeling of optimism from businesses. The COVID pandemic is well behind us now. We've seen some shifts in the market with the interest rates coming down and just optimism, I think, overall. And I think, the underlying mindset with businesses is the focus is trying to be as profitable as you can be. And when the market's down, then you kind of hunker down and do what you need to survive. And I think a lot of companies have survived and done what they needed to do to get to this stage. And now we're seeing optimism, and the feeling is that to take full advantage of it, you need to risk on the business and hire people and look to do whatever you need to do to be as profitable as you possibly can. And that tends to be a good thing for workers and employees and the market in general.
It's so interesting because so often I feel like businesses, they want to make money, and the way you make money is by having people to do the work. But obviously your workforce is probably your biggest expense for the most part, right? So when companies say their hiring outlook is positive, what do they mean by that?
Yeah, well, I think some of the biggest challenges that companies are faced with right now is the constant changes in what is being posed on them, what makes it harder for them to hire people. I mean, the costs to employ have increased. The minimum wage, the stat holidays, the employer costs, the benefits, the wellness and sickness time, all these things which they're happy to pay increases the cost, and it makes it harder for them to hire, which makes it more difficult for the workforce to demonstrate the skills that they need to justify the company hiring. So there's this real interesting dynamic of companies wanting to hire, but they need to do it in a profitable way. And that means that they need to be able to hire people in a way that's good for the business, that also results in profit for the business at the same time through delivering to their customers. So, I think companies want to hire great people. It's the number one underlying thing with all of our clients is everybody wants to hire. The challenge is they need to find that sweet spot of finding people who can either come in with the right mindset, aptitude, motivation, learn the skills, and deliver quite quickly, or they're willing to pay on the higher end, but they need people who are going to come in and be able to deliver again as quickly as they possibly can. And it all comes down to how that employee helps the company be profitable. And so, yeah, I still maintain that I think there's really great optimism. The challenge is I think a lot of employers feel that there's a great skill gap that exists in the market, and not everybody understands that all these companies are for-profit businesses, and it's not just about giving people a chance. It's about hiring somebody who can make an impact, and that's on you, the job seeker or the employee, to help the organization understand how you're going to make that impact.
In conversation with Brent Pollington, an Employment Express franchise owner in Vancouver, I keep hearing, we have been hearing it for a few years now, that there's a lot of jobs, but people don't want them, that, nobody wants to work. But it seems like the only jobs that are available, if you really dive in, are quite low paying. It seems like those higher paying, better benefit jobs get scooped up very quickly. They have, hundreds and thousands of applicants within 24 hours of being posted. So, what would you say to somebody who says there's no decent jobs available right now?
Yeah, I would kind of, question your perspective of what decent is. To me, it comes down to what you qualify for. Yes, we get hundreds, even thousands of applicants for an open position that we post for, but quite often there's maybe 5 or 10 people that are actually perceived to be qualified for that position. So that high flow of applications doesn't inherently mean that there's a ton of high value talent in the market. And there are also tons of great jobs available that a lot of people are perceiving that are below them in some way, shape, or form, and electing maybe not to enter the workforce or to hold out for the right position. And I mean, I guess that's the opportunity that everybody has, is to make that choice for themselves. But I wouldn't say there's this gap where there's only entry level positions at minimum wage, and then there's a huge $50,000-$60,000 gap, and then there's jobs at 100K, but that nobody qualifies for. I think there are jobs all across the board. We see them all the time at our organization. But it really comes down to, again, being qualified for the role. And I think, companies don't just pick these salary benchmarks out of nowhere. They have to look at their organization, what the particular role delivers to the organization, and how they can tie that into profitability, which I keep coming back to because I think it's the number one underlying factor that most job seekers or employees don't understand, is that the company has to be profitable in the exchange. And it's not as simple as just, give me a job, pay me the money, and we'll all win. But again, to answer your question, no, I think there are tons of opportunities that exist in the market. And, I suppose it's, for people who are unemployed, that there are a lot of good jobs out there with good companies that may be more entry level, but those companies all offer growth opportunities. And I don't think there's anything. I've worked retail, I've worked food service, I've done all those things, and I would do them in a heartbeat if I had to. So.
In conversation with Brent Pollington, talking about employment. Apparently, companies say they want to expand their workforce in 2025. What role does AI play in all of this? Because I know a lot of organizations, recruitment offices, things like that, are using AI to filter through applications, which makes sense. When you're receiving 1,000 applications, sometimes there just isn't enough manpower to literally read them. But what should people, job seekers in particular, be aware of if they want to make sure that their resume stands out and doesn't get filtered out by AI?
Yeah, well, I think that's actually a huge misconception. I mean, I don't know anybody that's using AI to filter candidates out. It leaves way too much opportunity to miss a great candidate. I think we're using AI and a lot of other recruitment companies are to streamline workflows. But where I'd say the greatest opportunity for a job seeker exists is that the majority of the applications that we get are from job seekers, where the perception on our end is that they aren't taking the time, effort, or energy to apply with purpose for the position that they're applying for, and that they've either hit the quick apply button to 1,000 different jobs, hoping that somebody is going to give them a chance. And in reality, what you need to do is be very focused and targeted in your application process and the jobs that you're seeking, the companies that you're looking to work for, and trying to put really purposeful applications and resumes together where you've modified and adapted your resume to speak to the positions that you're applying for, and make it as easy as possible for the human, because I guarantee you it's a human who's reviewing your resume at this stage, to see that there's a fit with your resume, that there's no way that's possible if you send the same resume to even 10 jobs. But if you're doing that to 100 or 1,000, you are absolutely just going to keep getting passed over, because there's no way that resume for 1,000 jobs will speak the same message as somebody who's tailoring it every job that they're applying for.
So, okay, but it really does seem like I myself was looking for a job like 2 years ago, and you're getting like automated responses a lot of the time. Like it's very clearly automated. It's not a person who's typing out an email. And like I've had instances where every single deciding, qualification that was listed, number of years of experience, degree, level of education, was all on my resume, and it was, you do not fit our requirements at this time. And then you see the job posted again a week later. And I think for job seekers, I keep hearing from people who are seeking jobs, people are texting that similar story in right now to 514-790-0800. It's very frustrating when that kind of thing happens, when you're like, hey, I meet your qualifications. You clearly haven't found somebody. Why aren't you giving me a call?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So when we get, say, 100 or 1,000 applicants and we physically go through and review them and we hit the reject button in the system, say if it's on Indeed will send what we program as an automatically canned response to everybody, because we can't physically take the time to respond to 1,000 candidates per job if we've got 50 open jobs on. So you may get an automated response, but I would wager 90 to even 100% that most of the time that review is happening from a human. The other tough one there that you mentioned is where you feel that you match the expectations. And I can share from a recruitment company standpoint, we work on behalf of our clients to understand what their needs are, to really identify what exactly they are looking for. And it's impossible for us at times to be able to fully convey and articulate exactly what that true fit looks like on paper. As much as we can give generalized and broad terms, you might apply, you might perceive that you check all of those boxes, and there could be something very specific or unique that they're looking for that unfortunately you don't have. And it's, again, just because of the volume, the time, effort, and energy, it's not possible for every company to reach out to every single candidate and have that conversation. And so even though you might perceive that you have that, it's possible that you didn't check all those boxes and it was enough where they weren't able to give you a call and did hit that rejection button. I wouldn't let that discourage you from continuing to apply in that kind of manner. If you feel that you truly did check all those boxes and you're identifying roles like that, then the best advice I can give is to just keep trying to articulate your value, reading those postings, trying to understand the true underlying problem that they're trying to solve and how that solving of that problem creates a win for them and for their clients, because that's what they're ultimately looking to do. But I definitely know how frustrating that can be as a job seeker. And I think the best advice I would give overall is to focus on what you can control, which is applying to the right jobs that you truly qualify for, taking the time to apply effectively to it. And if you get rejected, yes, it can be a numbers game, but as long as you're not applying, just hitting that button over and over and over, hoping that someone's going to see the fit, that's where I think you kind of fall into a bit more of a pit of despair, so to speak.
Absolutely. Brent Pollington, Employment Express franchise owner in Vancouver. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your insight.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a nice day.